Welcome to Collecting Chaos. It's Freeform Friday. Today we're going to talk about numbers. In particular, we're going to talk about the number of times I shout at Delco because he's making too much noise. No, that's not what we're going to talk about at all. The numbers we're talking about is the numbers on comic books. And I'm not talking about the issue number, and I'm not talking about the price, although those are related to a certain extent. I'm talking about the product numbers that appeared on early Dell Comics, on Gold Key Comics, and the UPC codes that appear on modern comics. And to a certain extent, also Bronze Age comics. The UPCs originally started appearing on Bronze Age. But we'll get onto that when we get to it. In the meantime, let's get this party started. In 1962, Dell Comics introduced what they called their new, what people call the new product code, but it's a numbering system for their comics in order for them to be easily identified. Not so easy as it seems. It's actually pretty difficult, but once you learn it, it's not bad at all. What we're going to do, we're going to zoom in, we're going to take a look at some of these numbers. And we're going to start with this copy of Battle of the Bulge. And the numbers we're looking at, you can't hardly see. The numbers we're looking at are this number right here. Now the first thing, and see if I can get that to focus just a little bit better. The first two numbers is this 1 and 2. And the first two numbers generally represent the company, the price, or the size of the comic. In this case, it's the number 12, which represents the 12 cents. And they also had a 15 that represented the 15-cent comics. They have other numbers that they use as well. For instance, this Wells Fargo comic has a number 1 here. That doesn't mean it's a penny, doesn't mean it's 11 cents. What it does mean, it's a standard 36-page comic. Kind of easy when you think about it. Those first two numbers either designate the price or the size, which would also designate the price. This is 36 comic, at that point was 15 cents. Then we come to the next two numbers. This is a alphanumeric number assigned to the title. So basically, the second three numbers were nothing more than a title code. I don't know exactly how they did it. I'm sure if I researched it a little more, I could find out. But in general, like this, Battle of the Bulge, 056. Man from Wells Fargo, 495. I suspect that it was just numeric, but I don't know. I mean, I know Gold Key did it a little differently, and we'll get to that in a little while. Finally, we come to these last three numbers. Now, these are the most important numbers, because this is going to tell you when the comic was published. The 2 represents the year, in this case, 1962. 07 is the month. It's not the publication month, it's the month that it was to be pulled off the shelf. So, July. This comic was supposed to be displayed from May to July. This one is a 6, so that would be June. So this was published in June of 1966. That's what it looks like. Let's go to the indicia and take a look. Battle of the Bulge, published quarterly by Dell Publishing Company. 1966. And that's what I said it was, 1966. And this one, 1962, July of 1962. If we go to the inside, May, July 1962. So that's how you read those. Not that difficult. These last three numbers are the most important. The first number is the year, is the last digit of the year, and the second two is the first two digits, or is the month. That becomes a little more important later on, as I will show you. Now let's go to this gold key comic, which also has an 8-digit code. I guess I'll have to take this one out of the Mylar. Not too easy for you to see, but I'll read the number off. It's 10019-211. This is 77 Sunset Strip. And I believe this is the first issue. Yes, it is, number 1. So the 10, the first two digits, that represents the fact that this is a 32-page comic. Or 36 if you count the covers. That's what that 10 means. And this started in 1962. In 1972, they changed that 10, or they changed the 1 to a 9, so it was 90 instead of 10. This could also have some other digits, and I'll explain those in a few minutes. Just as the Dell had other ones. If this had a 2 or a 7 on the Dell comic, it would mean it was a giant. This one, if it had a I think it was 30 or 35. Yeah, 30 or 35 as the first two numbers, it's a giant. Then the next three numbers is the title code, and the way they did it was the first one they published was 001. The second title they published was 002. This would have been the 19th title they published, and it's 019. And then the last three numbers are the same as they were in Dell. The 2 means it was published in 1962 or 1972. I believe this was 1962. And the 11 is November. And as you can see, there's November. And that's the pull date, again, November 1962. So that's the date they would have taken it off the shelf. Not a hard thing to learn, but takes a little practice to do it quickly. Why is this important? Well, when you're buying comics and you're looking through them, it's nice to be able to just look at something quickly and go, oh, 10211. Oh, that's from November 1962. I know that because it has a 10 instead of a 90. If it had a 90, it would have been 1972. Now let's go to something a little more that we see more often, and that's the barcodes. This is a Conan comic. I can read the barcode for you, and I will go through it. And I have a Flash comic here. Notice there's two different types of barcodes. This is the older type of barcode with just a two-digit supplement, and I'm going to tell you what that means. But this first part of it is all the same. The first number is that's a category number. 0, 1, 6, 7, 8. Those are just regular items, and they can apply to anything. Comics right now, most comics use a 7 right here, but as you can see, when this was published in October of 76, 78, yeah, October 78, they used a 0, which is fine because it's still a regular item. If it has a 2 there, it's not going to be a comic book because that's for variable weight items like meat or deli products, stuff like that. That's where you would find that 2. If it has a 3 there, well, that's pharmaceuticals basically. If it had a 4, that would mean this. It's a non-food item that has in-store marking. In other words, the barcode is assigned by the store. If I had a comic shop and I decided to put a barcode on this, I might put a 4 there. And the fifth, the number 5 and number 9 are usually used for coupons. Then we go to this next series of numbers. This is 70989, and at the time, that was DC's assigned number. This is 59606. That is Marvel's current assigned number. Now, the reason I'm saying current is, let's take a look at this Punisher. So this is 71486, but it's Marvel Comics, but it's not the same as this one, which is 59606. So those numbers change occasionally, and they changed based on the company or the national registration number, because periodically you have to apply for your registration number, for your national registration number, and that number can change depending on when you apply. So that's what that is, but it designates the company that produces it. DC currently, their number is 61941. Now this is the same now as it was back in 1997. So they haven't changed it for a while. So that's what that first 5-digit number is. It designates the company. The next 5 digits is the title. 02498 is always going to be Conan the Barbarian. 31216 is always going to be DC Comics Presents. 02860 is always going to be The Punisher. 20793, provided it has these first 5 numbers, will always be Aztec, the Ultimate Man. I'm trying to make it as easy as possible, but, this stuff does get a little confusing from time to time. Now, on the comics that have 2-digit supplements, it's a fluke that I just happened to pick 2 with 10. But what this is this, it's a periodical. It's published sequentially. So, for every number here, that's the numeric sequence for that particular year that it was published. Now, this was published in, looks like 1989. So, this would be the 10th issue published in 1989. Sometimes it corresponds with the date, or with the month. Sometimes it does not. For instance, if you had 7 comics published that year, or 8 comics published that year, this number would only go up to 8, or 08. It wouldn't go up to 12. And the numbering wouldn't correspond with the month. If it had 52 comics published in a year because it was weekly, then the number would go up to 52. It would not correspond to the month, but would correspond to the week. So that's what those 2-digit numbers are. So let's dissect the 5-digit number. This is the one that confuses everybody, and this is the one that's important. And I looked for one that was a second print, and I couldn't find one. You know, I've got tons of second prints around, and I couldn't find a darn one. So let's take a look at this 5-digit number here. This is number 27311. 273, that's the issue number. In all cases, the first 3 numbers on the supplement is the issue number. The 4th number tells you if it's a variant. Now this has a 1, so that means this is, if it only had one variant, it'd always be a 1. If there were 2 different covers, then this would be a 1, the other one would be a 2. But that's the 4th number that tells you if it's a variant or not. The last number tells you if it's what printing it is. Now this is 1, so that's a first print. I couldn't find any of my additional printings either that had these numbers on them. Now, sometimes they'll publish 20, 30, 40, 50, 99 variant covers. When they do that, this number has no meaning, because this number becomes a part of the variant number, and they don't worry about second prints. Are you confused yet? But yeah, that's what that means. So this is issue number 273, first cover, first print. If it was a variant cover, it'd be 273-2-1. If it was a first, or if it was a regular cover but second print, it would be 273-1-2. If it was a variant cover of the second print, it would be 273-2-2. It is possible for it to be 273-2-1 or 273-1-2. You could even have a 273-3-5. It's entirely possible. So there you go. That's the down and dirty of it. So let's take a look at this one. This is 009, issue number 9. 1 first print, or first variant, 1 first print. And that's how to look at the barcodes or the product codes and see what your comic is. Get you a little information today. Now that you know more than you ever possibly wanted to know or care about barcodes and product codes and all that stuff, and well, gee, I'm never going to use that information because I don't care about it. Yeah, actually you probably do and just don't realize it yet. You're probably going to be going through a comic box sometime, and it may be in a convention, and you're going to look down at that barcode and go, wow, this is a variant cover because it's got a number 3 there. Yeah, I better get this one because it's a variant cover, you know. Or, wow, this is a second print. I didn't know they made a second print of that. Let me go ahead and get it. Might be rare. Like I said, now that you know more than you possibly could want to know about barcodes and product codes, I guess that's all I have to say today. So we'll see you tonight, maybe. Are we? I don't know. Have a Merry Christmas. Make sure you wash your hands. It's good for your collectibles. It's good for your health. And I'll see you on Sunday night with Patrick Murphy. Bye.